Citizens United versus the FEC was a Supreme Court decision that was reached on January 21, 2010. The case was filed after the Citizens United organization sought to protect its film, Hillary, the movie, from the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act, which prohibited corporations and labor unions from funding such communications.
Essentially what the ruling said was that both corporations, unions, individuals all have the same rights in terms of free speech, and that money and political contributions represent free speech. And so you now have a separate category of PAC that can raise unlimited amounts of money, doesn't necessarily, and does not have to disclose where the money's coming from, and can give unlimited amounts to both campaigns and candidates.
In the United States, it is generally agreed that money and voice have a direct correlation. This truth has already made a huge impact on our political system.
So why is money so important in politics anyways?
We discussed this with veteran politician Brian Chinaman, who is now the political and legislative director for the Seafarers International Union.
Number one thing for a candidate is staff. You're going to pay your campaign manager, you're going to pay your fundraiser, you're going to pay any of the folks that are out door knocking for you. If you don't have volunteers, people will more than willing to do that. It's a good. We recruited high school kids who needed hours for graduation for their I guess they have a social requirement where they're either doing volunteer hours or something along those lines. We would use those, but we would supplement that with paid folks who'd go out and do literature dropping. They would hang door hangers on doors. They'd go talk to people and just try to get them to come out for the polls. So staff is huge. Advertising is big. A lot of that can tend to be the most expensive, and depending on the market, the media markets you're in, it can be expensive or it can be cheap.
Money has an undeniably important role in politics. However, too much of it can have a negative impact.
Putting an end to this negative advertising is so essential. It's not only polluting the airwaves on TV, but it is denigrating the candidates, it is corrupting the public policy process, and it's dangerously diminishing people's confidence in our system.
We talked with one of the most outspoken critics of this change, Mary Cheh, the D.C. City Council member representing Ward 3.
We're already awash in money in our politics, and it's really it's wrong because it drowns out other voices. It just drowns them out. Who can gather up millions and millions and millions of dollars? And every election year, it seems that, last year's ceiling, what we got to, oh, that's quickly eclipsed, and we go beyond that. Corporations are not persons, okay? And they shouldn't be for any of the provisions.
The Citizens United decision has radically changed national politics. It has also, however, crept into local elections as well.
One example of this change was the creation of a super PAC to support our city's mayor between elections, something that was not possible before the Citizens United decision.
More recently, the mayor, decided, she didn't decide, she claims that she's aloof from it, but friends of the mayor decided to create one of these super PACs, which took advantage of a loophole in our law that allowed them to get an unlimited amount of contributions, and as long as they disclosed that they could get as much as they want. And the purpose of it was especially pernicious, because the idea was they were going to amass this treasure chest of money, and then the mayor's friends were going to make it available to candidates who were running who would promise to support her programs. In other words, she would elect lapdogs on the council.
Not everyone agrees with Councilwoman Cheh, however. Supporters of the decision believe that the large influx of money into politics makes voices louder but not more persuasive.
I think we've struck a pretty good balance right now as we have it. I think the individual limits make sense in terms of the hard dollars for what they can be spent on. I think having the unlimited money, because in my opinion, money is speech, and all you're paying for is a louder voice. You're not paying for greater access or any of those things along those lines. I think Citizens United is fine as it stands. The amount of money in politics has skyrocketed since the decision came out. I don't personally think that that's a bad thing. I think the reality, at least as far as I'm concerned, as somebody who is involved in trying to influence politicians, trying to influence the legislative process, the ability to take money, create issue advocacy campaigns, go out there and argue for and on behalf of candidates, that provides a greater voice, and it provides people a greater chance to influence.
Mr. Chinaman and other supporters of the decision believe that in order to combat the perceived influence of single donors, one must form grassroots campaigns and interest groups.
While money is important in the political world, and while there are varying opinions on how unlimited spending affects this fact of life, there is one thing that both sides can agree on.
If there needs to be any reform, what I think the biggest reform needs to be is greater transparency.
Post Citizens United world makes it incredibly more difficult to know who's giving money to campaigns.
At the end of the day, I would rather have people fighting over not the amount of money in politics, but where it's coming from.
You know, people are not stupid, and so the ability to identify them and to talk about it and to get out there in the public and say, look at what is going on, we have to stop this, that at least is something.
So where does that leave us? The Citizens United decision has left a huge mark on our national and local politics.
While it will take a few more election cycles to verify its positive or negative impact, we believe that there are many loopholes that can be fixed right now, such as transparency and fundraising rules.
Both Democrats and Republicans benefit and suffer from this decision, and both sides can agree that some aspects must be revised.
This should no doubt rank high among topics considered by 2016 presidential candidates.